Keep up with Power 108.9 on social media.
How can I find you?
Instagram.
At Power 108.9.
And Facebook.
At Power 108.9.
It's the exact same thing. It's at Power 108.9.
Okay.
Power 108.9. A station for the people.
If you're a content creator, social media socialite, influencer, or simply love to record current events, you need the joystick. The joystick is an essential tool for every type of digital content creator. It holds 2 or more mobile phones or tablets, allowing users to stream and record hands-free on multiple apps simultaneously. And it's lightweight and portable. For more information or to purchase your joystick today, visit our website at www.joystick.com.
Hi Queens. Hi Queens. Welcome to the Oli Tony Experience in Atlanta, your source for all things fashion and hair.
Baby, I'm just trying to let my hair down.
Please visit us online at shopolitony.com and follow us on Instagram at OliTonyStar.
Question: what's the only station where you can get R&B, hip-hop, pop, and talk radio? Time's up.
Power 108.9. A station for the people.
The opinions and views expressed by this program are those of the program host, and guest, and do not necessarily reflect the views of Power 108.9 and its officials. We hope you enjoy.
From Christal with love, come on. From Christal with love, come on. Let's talk. Look here, I ain't the type that be writing love letters. I'm more clever by putting you and I together. You and I forever, through sunny and bad weather. Been around, been down before I had cheddar. Yeah,
all right, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everyone out there. This is your host, Christal from Christal with Love XO. And I'm excited to be here spending my lunch hour with you guys on a Tuesday. I had an extremely jam-packed weekend with some amazing events here in Atlanta, Georgia. There's a lot going on, as always. It feels like summer is here. You know, after Memorial Day weekend, we're in June. This is the second half of 2022. So last week I told you all, if you have not done a reset to your vision board, if you have not decided what you need to do differently for the second half of 2022, now is the time for you to make those changes, make those decisions so that you can finish the year strong. I had, like I said, a jam-packed weekend. There was High Heels and High Places happened on Saturday. It was a great event. A lot of women sharing their, sharing what has made them successful, from ups and downs, encouraging to other women. It was all put on at City Hall, Atlanta. Shared the panel with some amazing women, put on by an amazing woman herself. It was a great event. There's probably feedback from that and pictures and everything from that online. If you guys didn't have a chance to attend and you're here in Atlanta, or you didn't have a chance to see it, you can go to my Instagram, and I think I definitely have a recap from the event there. I want to thank Nina Lauren for hosting it. I got an award for Woman of the Year along with 5 other very impactful women. Melody Holt from Love and Marriage Huntsville was there. Ernestine Morrison. And Teray. It was a few other women that were there. I can't remember everyone's name, but it was a great event. But it was interesting because I went from this event, High Heels and High Places, with Melody Holt, and then I went to Ministries event, Rejection, and Martell Holt was on the panel. So that was interesting. So I saw the wife, and then went over and saw the husband. But actually, Chanel Scott, who is the founder of Ministry, is going to be joining me here to talk about rejection. And I asked her to come by because the event was phenomenal. They just recently got picked up with Fox Soul, which is great, which means that the message and the conversation is going to be able to be shared on a national platform, which is amazing. But the topic of rejection, we talk about relationships a lot here. And I think rejection is something that everyone deals with in their relationships or in business. I mean, just in life. If you don't know how to handle rejection, you're going to have a hard time with anything in life when it comes to business, love, just, anything that you're doing to follow your passion or follow your purpose. Rejection is going to be a part of that. Success does not happen without failure. And so I think success also does not happen without some form of rejection. So it's important to understand that you're not alone. It was so many gems dropped from that, but I want to wait until Chanel gets here to kind of go into that. What else happened over the weekend? Unfortunately, we want to send our condolences to the family and friends and fans, even of rapper Trouble. He was killed early during the weekend, and that whole scene has kind of played out here in Atlanta. There's always, it seems like every morning when I wake up, there's some negativity on the news. Someone is killed, someone got robbed. It's just a lot happening. And I think that's all kind of contributing to all of our mental health at this time. So we want to send our condolences to Trouble, and then also to Metro Boomin, producer extraordinaire, producer DJ extraordinaire. His mother was killed by her boyfriend in domestic dispute or domestic violence issue. And the mother was killed, and the man then turned the gun on himself. I cannot imagine how that is affecting him. So we want to send our prayers out and condolences to Metro Boomin as well. And everyone else is dealing with pain or, just pain or loss of in some way. It's such a common thing, recently. I feel like since COVID hit a few years ago, it seems like everything that we see on social media or on the news is just so much negativity, so much darkness, war, political races, kind of rooted and grounded in negativity. So it's a lot. And so I advise everyone out there to make sure that you're doing something to protect your mental health, right? For me, so I had those two events. I had a photo shoot. I had high heels in high places, and I try to make sure that I'm delivering a message that's going to empower and inspire someone else. The same thing with Ministry. I hosted the blue carpet there. We had Martell Holt, obviously, Tammy Rivera, Delicious, and Daryl Clark, and also Rebecca Lynn Pope that we've had on this show before. She's the host of Marry Me Now. So all of that was happening. And so Sunday I took off because I literally left my house on Saturday at like 8:30. I got back like at almost midnight. So I realized I needed to take a day off. So I took a day off. I cooked a big dinner for my husband, and it just kind of straightened up around the house. And then I went horseback riding. I went out and saw my horse and spent some time with her, because for me, it's really important. I have to disconnect, or I would not have been able to start the week on a positive note. Like I would have been kind of drained. So I did that. But there's so much coming up this week. I want to tell you all, if you are watching this on my YouTube channel, please watch on Friday. On Friday at 10 o'clock, I have a special expose coming out with Shorty Mac. If you guys have been watching Put a Ring on It on OWN, this show, if you're not familiar with the show basically recounts, it takes three couples, and these couples are in a state of peril, right? They're trying to figure out, are they going to move forward and go to the altar, or are they going to break up and go on about their separate ways? I think most relationships come to a point where it's like, okay, either we're going to stick it out and be together, or, it may be time for us to go on our separate ways. So this couples come to the show, and there's a dating coach. Of course, would not be a show without a dating coach. So we have Dr. Nicole. Dr. Nicole is amazing. I definitely want to have her on soon, but she is a master life and dating coach. And she basically talks these couples through, basically giving them tools to be able to handle some of the issues they're having in their relationship. So we said three couples, Shay and Alfonso, who are dealing with issues with his child's mother, and his mother having a connection with his child's mother and not with his new girlfriend, Shay. And they are trying to figure out, I think they actually tried to get married before. They, had a ceremony, but it wasn't official, right? So that's one couple. Then there is Charlie and Otis, who we saw recently just revealed that they are expecting. They revealed this on the reunion that aired on Friday. And on Rolling Out, if you are, you can go to rollingout.com and see we actually did an expose on the fact that she was pregnant and shared their pictures. They have some beautiful pictures together taken by Nathan Percy. Shouts out to Nathan at N Percy Pics. But so there's Charlie and Otis, Shay and Alfonso, and Shorty Mac and Kenneth. Now, Shorty Mac and Kenneth were probably the most problematic couple because you could kind of sense that one of them, Shorty Mac, was definitely ready to move on and Kenneth was not. And so in this reunion, we see that Shorty never intended for them to be together. She looked at it as an opportunity to get out of the relationship. So tune in on Friday. I'm have a sit down, tell all with Shorty, where she's going to explain, why they came on the show, what was happening in their relationship prior to going on the show. And it's going to be interesting. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. So tune in Friday at 10 o'clock on From Christal with Love XO on YouTube for that conversation. I promise I think there are certain things that if you live long enough, you've dealt with, right? So I think everyone has dealt with a toxic partner. Everyone has dealt with an abusive partner. It may not be physical abuse. It could be verbal abuse. It could be mental abuse. But all that, we're going to talk about all that on Friday. So please tune in. Also, I had the opportunity to sit down with Camille and Cornelius from Ready to Love. They visited the show yesterday evening. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you go back and watch that conversation. We had quite a lively audience. Live chats are always off the chain with that. But Ready to Love is, we finalized the season in Potomac. We've moved on, but I had to go back and talk to DC couple, Camille and Cornelius, because this couple is still together. They've managed to stay together throughout a pretty rocky season in DC. There was a lot going on there. A lot of people felt like Camille was very controlling and wasn't allowing Cornelius to date other people. We talked about all that. We got into all of that, her calling him a country bumpkin, him, being accused of being his sexuality being questioned. It was a lot that happened that season. And so the two of them came on together. They are still in a relationship, working on moving forward. And it's interesting. It was very interesting to hear. But they had an explanation of what we saw on the season. And so if you haven't seen it, make sure that you go back and watch it. If you did see it, I would love to hear your feedback. I love hearing what you all think, because a lot of times people on television, especially reality TV, they assume that they're one way. And when people are watching them, you are watching and responding to them in a different way. So a lot of times what they think they're portraying and what they're actually portraying don't always align. But I think that's kind of up to the viewer to make your decision. Once you hear their truth, everyone kind of, has a different version of what's truth to them. So they shared, and I appreciated them both coming on and both being candid about what happened on the show. There's a lot of conflicting stories. We had Aisha here. We see Dante and Aisha have broken up, and he's sharing his story. But I wanted to make sure we talked to one more couple before we kind of pivot. So we know Ready to Love is going to Miami. That's going to be interesting. We do know there's a lot. I think there's some Afro Latinas being added to the cast. So, we're just going to keep watching. That's all I can say is we're going to keep watching, and we'll see what happens when it comes to Ready to Love, the next session. Also, you guys know I am super excited about Married at First Sight. Married at First Sight is going to another city, but I think the big news about Married at First Sight is that Devon Franklin, Megan Good's ex-husband, Devon Franklin, television producer, Devon Franklin, author, Devon Franklin, pastor, and Megan Good's ex-husband is joining the show. And so I think that's definitely going to spike some views because people are going to want to see what he's going to say. He did release a statement about why he decided to do this show. It's kind of a weird time for him to do Married at First Sight, knowing that he just came, I don't know if their divorce is even finalized, but we know that he and Megan Good, were married. Their relationship was very public and it did not work. But, his statement said that God is a God of redemption and everyone gets second chances, and I don't think love is ever taken off the table no matter what happens. So I agree with that. I'm interested to see what he's going to say and how he's going to counsel these couples, because Married at First Sight has consistently ran into issues with people coming on the show saying they understand that they're going to be in a situation to find love and it's going to be based on compatibility and they would need to be ready to think outside the box. And it doesn't seem like everybody really understands that. People come on the show and they don't like the way their spouse looks and they don't want to be with them, right? And they don't want to be involved. And I get it, because everybody wants to be with someone that they're attracted to. However, you come on a show like that, you know there's a huge chance that you may not initially be physically attracted to the person. That's a risk that you take when you decide to come on Married at First Sight. So the fact that people act super surprised and hateful, even we saw in this last season, the young lady Alyssa was just hateful to the guy because he did not look like she wanted him to look. And then she actually went out with another guy from another season and that didn't work either. So it's like, yeah, you come on this show, you got to understand that physical appearance is not paramount. That's not the most important quality, right? But it's an interesting show. I definitely encourage you all to check it out. But I'm going to be reviewing Married at First Sight as the new season kicks off. We also, before we wrap up this segment, I want to give a huge congratulations to Woody and Amani from Married at First Sight. They were actually on the New Orleans season and they just welcomed a beautiful baby boy. So we want to give them congratulations and shout them out. Because they were one of those couples that found each other on the show. They immediately clicked and they have been riding ever since. I love them. Would definitely love to have them. I'll put that out in the universe. We definitely would love to talk to Woody and Amani because it just worked. Very few couples get on there and actually click up that fast, but they've been together and they had their little boy was born, I think last weekend. So shouts out to them. And so you guys stay right there. We're going to come right back. Like I said, we have Chanel and Scott. She is the founder of Comministry, and we had an amazingly impactful conversation this past weekend, and we're going to get all into it. We're going to talk about Martell, Delicious, Tammy, and all of that is coming up right after the break. So stay right there. This is From Christal with Love XO. We'll be right back.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Malik McFadden, and did you know that you can listen to Power 108.9 24/7? Just visit the website power1089.com or simply say, Alexa, play Power 108.9. Yeah.
If you're a content creator, social media socialite, influencer, or simply love to record current events, you need the joystick. The joystick is an essential tool for every type of digital content creator. It holds 2 or more mobile phones or tablets, allowing users to stream and record hands-free on multiple apps simultaneously. And it's lightweight and portable. For more information or to purchase your joystick today, visit our website at www.joystick.com.
Yo, it's Michael McFadden of Power 108.9, and I want to ask you a question. Are you looking for a new house? If so, you need to holler at our guy, the mortgage guy, Alvin Jameson. AlvinJameson.com. Yeah, Alvin like the chipmunk, and Jameson like that fine whiskey. Not only can he help you on the purchase of that new home, he can also assist you on that refinance as well. So whether it's FHA, conventional, and of course that VA home loan that you sitting on right now, yo, call Alvin Jameson. 404-587-9033. Once again, 404-587-9033. Trust the guy we trust here at Power 108.9. Alvin Jameson. AlvinJameson.com, or just call him 404-587-9033. And of course, tell him you heard it right here on Power 108.9. Let's go.
All right. We are back. We are back with Chanel and Scott, founder of Comministry. First of all, congratulations on a huge event. I think every time I've been a part of this, every event gets bigger and better. And this Saturday was absolutely like everything I expected it to be and so much more. How do you feel?
I feel overwhelmed, amazed, blessed.
Yeah.
It was, you used the exact words that I used when I was asked. I got a call from the head of programming over at Fox Soul after the event. He said, so how do you feel?
Yeah.
I said, it was above anything I could think or imagine.
Yeah.
Like it really was.
Yeah, it was great. It was really good. It was really good. But the fact that, and actually someone said this in the audience, because I had, talked to the audience before you guys came out, and I asked people, like, what did they remember? And we talked about, there were 2 ladies in the audience that had attended when it was here in Atlanta before with Church Hurt, talking about Church Hurt, when Jason was here. And I love the fact that the topics are topics that we don't always talk about, right? But we need to talk about, because they're at the basis of a lot of our issues with relationships. So Church Hurt was definitely one. And then rejection. Everybody, I don't care how much you're flaunting and faking it, everybody deals with rejection.
Absolutely.
How did you come up? Why did you decide for that to be the topic for this, this return one, and then this partnership with Fox Soul? This was a big deal. So why was it was the right time to talk about rejection?
It was the right time for several reasons. Rejection, I've experienced a tremendous amount of rejection in my life. And so all of the topics that I choose are inspired by personal experiences in my own life. But then also, this was the culmination of one season of my life and the beginning of a new season. And so I wanted to leave it right there.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
We're done with that.
Yeah.
And we're moving on to bigger and better things. But also, I just wanted to give our viewers the opportunity to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when people are rejected, they kind of just brush it under the rug and pretend like it's not happening, like I'm good, I'm good, they don't want to speak on it. And I wanted to bring influential people on the panel and just let others know we all experience,
everybody,
no matter what your status, no matter what's in your bank account,
absolutely,
we experience rejection, and we need to talk about it and let you know that it's okay.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's funny because I was talking to my daughter the day after, and she was saying, Mom, I just want to stop dating. I went out with this guy and I didn't hear from him a couple of days after. And I said, I wish you had been able to be at this panel, because there were so many pieces of wisdom dropped. And when you hear other people share they've been through similar things, then it makes you feel like, okay, I'm not by myself. Right. I know for me, like you, I've dealt with a lot of rejection. The biggest rejection for me started with my father. My father was not in my life, and he chose, it was his choice. And I learned later that my father was a drug addict, which explained, some of his choices. But as a child, you still feel, why wasn't I enough? What was wrong with me that you did not want to be my dad, So that set off a pattern. And so what happens is, and you talked about trauma bonding, so when you have that hurt that you don't get healing for, every other situation feels like, here we are. I feel that same rejection. I feel that pain again.
Right. Or anticipating.
Yeah,
it may not have even happened. And you anticipate that it's going to happen because you're so used to it.
Yes.
So then you self-sabotage the new relationship because you're anticipating. You're trying to beat them to the punch.
Yes. And you know what I told my daughter, and I'll share this here because I believe in being vulnerable, because that's how you help people. Like if you keep everything to yourself, you don't. But dating, I dated in Atlanta for probably a stint of 10 years.
Wow. Horrible.
Right. Well, no, because God had a plan, but I'm just saying it was a long time. So I would date guys, and a lot of times it doesn't work out. And I'm really big on, like, I'm not, if I know something doesn't work, I keep it moving. But in your head, you're thinking, dang, that didn't work. What's wrong? And you start to think what's wrong with you, right?
Yeah.
And I told her, and it's so funny, over that 10-year span, there were certain men that I really, I did not understand why it didn't work.
Right.
And so many of them came back to me later and were like, for different reasons. I had one sent me because I had blocked him. I'm like, I just ain't working. I blocked him. He sent me a long message on LinkedIn. Really? And he said he had some issues that he was dealing with, mental health issues, and he apologized for the fact that it didn't work out and told me that he thought I was an amazing woman. But I had no idea of what he was dealing with. Another guy was like, you know what? I had something else going on. I didn't want to hurt you. I knew you were a good woman. I didn't want to do that. So slowly but surely, like, you keep, as my granny would say, you learn something. If you keep laying down and getting up, you learn. So a lot of times that rejection, 9 times out of 10, that rejection had nothing to do with me.
Exactly.
It was about what they were dealing with in their lives.
Right. Just like when we were in Charlotte and I told that story about the hair.
Yes.
I wore the weave for a whole year, never really found my comfort zone, and only to have a conversation with that gentleman and say, hey, what do you think about me cutting my hair again? He was like, Chanel, your short hair is your superpower.
Yeah.
And I'm like, here I am for a whole year operating outside of who I am, what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
You know, if you're comfortable with that, then that's fine.
Right.
But I'm trying to find my identity, trying to be someone. I saw other women that he dated, and the commonality was the long hair.
Right.
So I thought, okay, let me put some in mine, because I ain't got time to grow mine back. So I'm going to go ahead and go the quick route for him to say, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to be true to who you are. And like you said, most times it has absolutely nothing to do with you, and absolutely to do with where they are in their own journey.
Right.
You know, and what's happening in their own life. So if someone doesn't want to be with you, then move on.
Move on. And I know that's easier said than done.
It's very easier said than done.
But for me, I want to ask you, what has worked for you? For me, what I would do, and I'm being honest with y'all, I have some weird ways, but I figure out what works for me. So and this was just talking about when it comes to dating, because when it comes to business, it's a total different, I don't really take that personal. I learned early on I didn't have to take business rejection personal. But as an entrepreneur, I definitely dealt with a lot of business rejection. But when it came to dating, I would, like I told my daughter, like if I go out with a person and I like them and I knew that their intentions were, I had to find a way to cut that off so that I didn't keep focusing on it. I just tell myself, Christal, you got to stop. Christal, don't talk. Christal, focus on something else. And of course, a lot of times that was work, as a woman, that becomes your saving grace. But and after a while, you just kind of get control. You have to get control of your emotions. I think as women, you have to be able to be in control of your emotions, because otherwise your emotions will have you acting out and not wanting to do anything, feeling like I'm not worthy, I'm not going to date anymore. One of the things that I learned is when I would go and I have a bad experience and I would say, I'm not dating anymore, that was wrong, because then I would not date for like a year or two and I wouldn't learn anything in that time. Right. You know, if you stop it, you're not moving forward, you're not maturing. And so my suggestion to people out there, women out there listening, is don't stop dating.
Right, absolutely. There are a couple things. So first of all, like Rebecca said at the event on Saturday, everybody is not going to be your cup of tea.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're not everybody's cup of tea.
You're not everybody's cup of tea. So, and that's fine. But then also, you have to take a step back and ask yourself, why is this person so great? Like, I wanted to ask this on Saturday to Delicious, but I had to watch my words. And Jason Lee, he put
Jason
it
went to it.
He put it perfect, because we make these people great in our own head.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important for us to tap into our own worth and self-value, self-worth and our own value. Because when you tap into that, when you know who you are, when you know what your purpose is, if somebody doesn't want to be with you, you're like, cool, I'm okay with me.
Yep.
It's only when you don't know who you are and you're not okay with you that it takes you on this crazy path, because I've been there.
Yeah.
But in this season, I'm like, oh, you don't like me? Okay.
Chanel said, it's my season now. It's my season.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to share with other people how you got to this place, because I know in business, it's like I said, it's all of those things. If you haven't healed from something, right? Because it's one thing for a man not to want to date you or you not to be his cup of tea. But if you're still, like for me, I still had a lot when my ex-husband, my divorce happened, I still was hurt over my father's rejection. So this just felt like more of the same. But those two things were not related. Right. But in my head, it felt like men always reject me. Right. My dad, my husband, you know, I was afraid. I was actually afraid my son, I mean, I would just like love on my son. I was like, I don't want him to do what his dad and my dad did, right? I don't want him to see me that way. Right. So I had to heal. It had nothing to do with the ex-husband. It was all from the issue with my dad I had to reconcile. And he passed away from an overdose, so he was not available to help me deal with that. But I had to find a way to heal, because otherwise you pick that scar and that burden up and you apply it to every situation after that.
Right. I, for me, am more intentional about the people that I connect with, because we typically know from the onset if we have compatibility or good chemistry. You can kind of check the vibe. And so what I also like to do is I stay in friend zone for a little while. Yeah. Let's get to know each other and build a foundation, because there's no emotional attachment there. Yeah. So if you want to move on, you can. I'm not offended. If you don't return my text message, I'm not offended, because we're friends. And I still have to have self-talks like, okay, Chanel, y'all are friends, right? So they'll get back to you. Right. But I try to take my time and really get to know that person and find out if we have compatibility, and also give them an opportunity to get to know me as a person, and not just a woman that I'm attracted to, but just really get to know me and my personality, because I'm kind of weird and awkward. We're in that space of attraction where I like you, because then your energy is off. You don't know what to say, you don't know what to do. You're like, oh my gosh, should I call? But when I'm your friend, I call you when I want to. Yeah, and we good. Yeah, right. Yeah. So I try to hang out there until we're both in the same space, and then we can move together. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I know for me, I'm guys are like, would think I had a crush on them, and I'm like, if I talk to you all the time, I do not have a crush on you. Now if I'm because I get super shy, right? If I don't talk to you, then I probably like you, because I'm very shy when it comes to that. I prefer the guy to make the first move, but I'm, if I like you, I kind of, it's like you said, you kind of get in that phase of like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing. But all right, let's get into this panel, because you and I talked about our history, but we had Delicious, who is in the process of going through a divorce. Absolutely. And it's interesting, because it reminded me a lot when you had Mimi Faust on the panel in Charlotte, and she was in the middle of going through a breakup at that time. Delicious is in the middle of that, and you can tell that she was still not very comfortable with what happened. She's still working it through. Right. I think Delicious doesn't know who Delicious is. Yeah. Because I'm like, Delicious, you are delicious. Nothing against this gentleman here, but I just couldn't understand the connection that she was making. She made this man larger than life in her head. Yeah. And that's why I said, Jason, I'm gonna lean on you, because this is your lane. Yeah. Can you just be real for a minute and just let her know? Yeah. Can we all remind her who she is? And I think the room reminded her throughout the event, even after the event. People wanted to take pictures. They came up to her, gave her a hug, and let that woman know, like, listen, know who you are, know your worth, And then also, not only that, she said he had a pattern of abandoning his wife. He had a previous wife. So this has nothing to do with you. This is a pattern of behavior that he's operating in. It is, but I think it's important to, I always try to look at, I guess it's the journalist in me, or maybe the Libra in me, that always tries to look at both sides of this of the conversation. So you have Delicious and her ex. You have Martell Holt and his ex, and we've seen their stuff play out on television. But the thing about it is, I think two things I pulled from that. I had told viewers that I had the opportunity to sit down with Bobby Brown and interview him maybe 2 weeks ago, right? And Bobby Brown at one point in time was like the biggest star on the planet, right? My prerogative, Bobby Brown was that dude. Like, I'd be listening to him with my Walkman headphones, and he was everything. So he said during the height of his career, he's spending money. Women want him because he's Bobby Brown, and he's charming, he's charismatic, you're doing sold out shows. At that point, he did not love himself, right? So, and I said, it's hard to understand how a person could have that much success and still not know their own value, their own worth. I don't want to, and those are words from his mouth. So I don't want to put words in anyone else's mouth. We know that he was with Whitney Houston, an amazing talent, who at some point in time, it would appear that maybe she did not know her worth also. Absolutely. So when I see someone like Delicious with over, millions of followers, a lot of times attention is not validation. Right.
Right. So people look at, and she's like, well, why would this man who was of this status want me? And we're looking at her like,
status.
Well, I think, he is that man. What I was going to say is he's been in prison. He was in prison for a really long time for something he didn't do. So that comes with a lot of psychological issues that I can't even relate to.
Right.
So one of the things that Coach Rebecca, and also Coach Dr. Nicole on Put a Ring On talks about, if you don't have the tools, a lot of times you want something from someone that doesn't have that to give you.
Right, absolutely.
So I don't know his situation. I don't know the situation. I'm just saying, from the outsider looking in, everyone knows that someone that's gone through something that traumatic has to have baggage from it. And if he hasn't healed from that, that could be challenging for him. But for her, because really it's always about you. It's not really about the other person.
Right.
For her, I think that a lot of times young women look up to women that have all these followers, and they're showing their body and they're getting attention, but that attention is not consistent with self-worth and self-validation.
Absolutely.
So for her to say that she could tell she didn't get that, talking to Bobby Brown, who was a huge star and still, didn't have that.
Didn't get it. Yeah.
So that's something that you really have to have for yourself. Like you said, it's not money. It's not fame, because she definitely commands attention,
Right, absolutely.
but it's still not
enough.
And that's because it has to start with self.
Absolutely. I also felt like, this is just in my own mind, I'm like, maybe he recognized who she was and he beat her to the punch. At a certain point, you got to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
We look at these relationships and the reality of it. I look at it, I'm just going to be real. I'm like, it's a mismatch.
Yeah.
It's a mismatch. And maybe, he came to the recolation that maybe, the inevitable is going to happen anyway. So let me go ahead and make the move.
Yeah.
Or he may not have felt that he was enough.
Right.
Because men operate differently.
That's what
women
do. It can be from the same root.
Yes.
But it comes out differently. Yeah.
Right. So
let's talk about Martell, girl. Because I know this situation. I talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. I've interviewed Martell prior. And one of the things I said to him when he was on the blue carpet, and I think, I wish, because, a panel like that, you have so many people to talk to. But for Martell, I think there was an episode on Love and Marriage Huntsville where we see him with his father, and you see a lot of pain there, right? And I think a lot of times we forget that men, just like I can say I experienced rejection from my dad, and that really set the tone for my life. I guarantee that Martell's actions are rooted in some unhealed pain and rejection from his early childhood. Because for him, he's a good-looking guy. He's very charming. But you can tell what we see and what he feels probably are two different things.
Well, I watched season 2 because I initially, prior to this series of Ministry, I hadn't watched the show.
Okay.
So I binge watched season 2, which is where a good bulk of the things
marital falling.
Yeah, the stuff started to unveil. And what I saw was a man who wasn't being heard. He comes across as being very passive aggressive with his wife. So he went to her and said, "Hey, these are my concerns." And she overtalked him, and she told him what she was gonna do, and she told him that essentially, you gonna support me in this. And in his mind, he was like, okay, but I'm gonna go do what I'm gonna do too.
And he did.
And then we found out on the platform at Ministry the other night that this affair was going on before the show. I don't think no one ever asked that question. I was listening. I was like, were you having this affair before? So this was going on.
Yeah.
And so that's where he got his validation. He went and he got it somewhere else.
A lot of times men do that. A lot of times men will go look for it outside. And it's funny because I was talking to one of the dating coaches that was there that came to the event on Saturday. And I was actually talking to Rebecca Lynn Pope's husband, Carrie Pope. And we were talking about how men, a lot of times, if they're dealing with rejection, their first thing is to go find a woman to make them feel better.
Yes.
And a lot of times the woman, and this is not talking about Martell's situation, but a lot of times they'll go to a woman and it'll be a sexual relationship, and we'll think, oh, he just wants sex. And he was like, it's not about sex. It's really about the fact that there's validation there, and a woman is speaking to him in a language that he understands. And it feels, so the wife is feeling like, oh, he just wanted sex. But no, he just wanted to be heard. He just wanted to be validated, and he didn't know how to ask for that.
Right. Absolutely. I see a lot of people, because I did the live with him before the actual show, and there are a lot of people out there invested in this relationship.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like the power couple that everybody wanted to love and that went wrong. Yeah.
But they tend to gloss over how those two got into that situation. And I wanted to shine light on that, because I said, okay, guys, you're looking at him cheating, but did you pay attention to how he got there? Yeah. The treatment on how he got there. I mean, Mel is a piece of work.
Well, I think there's two sides. There's always two sides to a story. And I think Martell's cheating really had more to do with him not being, he needs to understand how to deal with himself, right? Because really, if you cheat every time you feel that you don't feel validated and heard, that's not what a mature person does. Because women can do it too. We just probably don't get caught.
What do you do? So let me ask you this though. In a situation, because we saw him go to his wife, right, and talk to her about what issues he had, right, before we even learned about the cheating, right. So in that situation or scenario, he did that. She didn't listen, and he even said on the platform that she even said to him at one time, "Why don't you go out and get a girlfriend?" And that's exactly what he did. Yeah. But aside from that, because that was bad advice. Yeah. Well, she was being smart.
Yeah,
she's being smart. Yeah. But really, seriously, what should he have, or what could he have done if he wasn't being heard? Like, what's your next course of action? What do you do? You know, that's interesting. I'll give you my honest opinion, because I just got married, right? And I'm gonna tell you, there's no person that's going to give you what you need all the time. That is why you have to be mature enough and in tune with your star player, as Cat Williams said, enough to know that I need to get the help, because there are going to be times in every relationship. It could be a friendship. You and I could be super close friends, and something happened to me and I need you. You may not be able to be there, because you may just not be able to. It doesn't mean that you don't love me. It doesn't mean that we're not supposed to be friends. But as humans, we're all fallible, right? So I think you have to understand in marriage. I think Martell had an idea that if I'm not happy as a man, I have a right to do this, because he said that in the last season. He's like, well, this is what men do all the time, that nobody leaves. He's thinking that this is how I can deal with my unhappiness, and that's not true. A leader, a man, a head of household, if you're not getting what you need, you've got to figure out a way to do that without putting your household at risk. And to me, it's so heartbreaking, because like I said, I've talked to Melody. I like her very much. I talked to Martell. I see the potential with him. I think he really wants to be a good guy. I don't think he's just an evil person. But their family was broken, and that's heartbreaking, because we think, yeah, we've got the two of them that go back and forth, but you got 4 gorgeous children, beautiful children, and they're hurt from all this. I don't care what people say. Yes, you can protect them, but you can't protect them from the hurt of that family being split apart. Right. So what I would tell a person in Martell's situation, before he was already cheating before we saw that on the second season, because he had the idea that it was okay for him to do that. That meant that's manly. Like, I'm gonna go get my needs over here, but you don't go anywhere. You got to fix it with yourself, because if you fix yourself, you react differently. And that's what the panel was about. Like, how do we deal with rejection in a positive way? Jason Lee. But see, let me before you go there with Jason. The thing about that is, in friendships, if a friend is not meeting a particular need, you can go find you another friend, and no one's going to condemn you for it. Right. But in a marriage, not so much. Right. So, I mean, that's just like, it's still a question mark for me, a single woman, because I can't imagine what it feels like to be stuck in a situation where you're constantly crying out, saying, hey, needs are not being met. Yeah. These are things that I can only get from my spouse or my wife or my husband, and you're not hearing me.
But they may not do. I think that's why marriage is so, people should think before they do it.
So then I think it's an issue of compatibility.
Well, it's not even that, because it could change. Like I'll give you an example. there are times in marriages, I dealt with cancer, right? And I went to support groups after the fact. That was part of the thing that drove our marriage apart, because a lot of times if a spouse is sick or a spouse loses a parent, you can go through depression that the other person cannot help you through.
Right.
There's no way, we heard that with Will and Jada, not that want to promote the way their marriage is at any point, but not one person cannot make you happy. Right. I cannot be responsible for my husband's happiness. He's not responsible for my happiness. Right. If I feel like I need validation, I have to work on Christal. And that's what you just said about friendship. You can get another friend. Well, I have a friends from back home. I can't get another best friend that's known me since I was 10. Is it the same type of relationship? No, but the maturity and the way I approach it is, because I don't want to lose my friend from 5th grade. Right. If she can't be the friend to me at that moment, I have to figure out how to deal with things on my own. And I think in any marriage, no matter how great your marriage is, there's always going to be a point where you may not have it to give. I'm not saying that she was right at all, but I'm saying Martell made a commitment. When you get married, you make a commitment to God and that person. You say, hey, I'm going to forsake all others. So 2 wrongs don't make a right. And I think we're in a culture where people are tit for tat. I hit you, you hit me back. Right. I hit you. That's not marriage. At least it's not supposed to be. So if you find yourself in that situation, you have to do the work and start to do what you're supposed to do. And then if your spouse doesn't come around, eventually you may have to look at separating and getting a divorce. Right. But adding another person to the...
I just want to, because I just hate that people beat up just on him.
Right. Well, no, you're right. I will say this. My ex-husband cheated on me, but I'm mature enough to say it was not all his fault. He probably did not know how to handle a lot of things we were dealing with. Right. And I didn't know how to be, a great wife. I didn't know how to be supportive at the time. So I'm not excusing what he did, right? But I'm saying that it wasn't all one. It's never one-sided. It's never all one person's fault. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and get into the rest of the panel, because we had Jason Lee, who is a phenomenon unto himself. Also, Daryl Drake, and so much more. Come right back. We're right here with Chanel Scott with Comministry. We'll be right back.
Keep up with Power 108.9 on social media.
How can I find you?
Instagram.
At Power 108.9.
And Facebook.
At Power 108.9.
It's the exact same thing. It's at Power 108.9.
Okay.
Power 108.9. A station for the people.
Welcome to A Moment of Hope with Pastor Dwight. I want you to understand today that God is building a table for you. God is building a table for you. Don't let anybody make you feel like they are the reason for your success. In fact, the only reason you have been successful up until this point is because God has been building connections for you, building tables for you, building new seats for you. Today, take courage in knowing that the only one that is going to place me in a high position is God. And to God be the glory. I want you to understand that even when you don't see it, God is working out some things for you behind the scenes. I need you to hold on today. I need you to remain strong, knowing that God is creating something for me, and it might be a new table. This has been A Moment of Hope with Pastor Dwight.
Tired of all that baloney they force feed you on?
Yes.
Then get connected to Power 108.9, a station for the people.
If you're a content creator, social media socialite, influencer, or simply love to record current events, you need the joystick. The joystick is an essential tool for every type of digital content creator. It holds 2 or more mobile phones or tablets, allowing users to stream and record hands-free on multiple apps simultaneously. And it's lightweight and portable. For more information or to purchase your joystick today, visit our website at www.joystick.com.
Is there such thing as a work husband or a work wife?
They say, you my work husband. No, the hell I ain't. No chicken nuggets, none of that.
I cannot be relied on at work for your ass.
I wish a woman would come to me, but like, that's my work husband. I'm like, bitch, no, he's not.
Power 108.9, a station for the people.
Hey Atlanta, this is Sayon, and you're listening to Power 108.9.
Yeah, I ain't with that work husband stuff. I wish somebody would tell me my husband was their work husband. Girl, please. But you know what? As a single person, I did have guys that I did feel like that about. That's funny. So Michael's like, it's not cool when you get a husband, but before that, no, seriously. So we're talking about ministry, and we're talking about Martell Holt and the fact that pretty much 90% of OWN's viewers have made Martell the villain, but he's played into it a little bit. I do think I agree with you. There's got to be accountability on both. No marriage ends, no relationship ends totally one-sided. It's always, and I used to think that was wrong. And then I got a little older, as my granny said, keep laying down and waking up, and you realize either you saw signs early on, you ignored. It's always, you got to be able to take accountability for yourself. Now there was a guy. There a few guys came up to me afterwards because I said there was a couple there that have a company called Lovepreneur, and the woman said that if a wife supports her husband, statistics show he will be 77% more successful, and vice versa. And I just wanted to ask you your opinion on that, because we're in a culture where women are very much like, oh, he got to have this, he got to have that, he got to be six figures, he got to be da-da-da-da-da, and you want him already ready, right?
Right.
But imagine how you be with someone who's compatible, who is a good
That's all
fit.
I was gonna say.
No. I'm not saying that it should not be compatible.
Okay.
I'm not saying it shouldn't be equally yoked.
Right.
But I am saying that, to me, because we focus so much on men's money and women's looks, and as a woman getting older, I remember hearing certain things, and it's like, okay, well, if you're going to judge you solely on your looks, that's not substance.
Oh, absolutely.
We see Delicious, a woman who she's got the looks that everybody wants, but it's not enough, right?
It's not enough.
And a man with a lot of money, I've dated men with a lot of money. It is not enough.
It's not enough. I need your presence. It just depends on what your relationship is built on, the foundation.
Right.
Because when God brings two people together, it's always greater than the two of those people. It's about what they're going to produce together. Right. So there has to be a level of accountability before they go into the marriage. If you're with someone because they're cute, well, that's going to wear off.
It's absolutely.
We gain weight after
we just get older.
We get older, and you need that person to evolve and grow and mature with you. Otherwise, you're going to leave them behind.
Right.
So that's my take on that. I'm still a single woman, so I'm speaking from the single perspective, because even as a single woman, you can want to do that, because I do believe in birth and vision and partnering with my mate and doing all these great things. But if he doesn't want it, you can't make him want it. I've been in situations like that where I was trying to build and grow and do all these different things, and it just wasn't successful. It wasn't on the same page. So those are the things that you got to check for. And even for those of you who are out there in relationships and partnerships and things of that nature, you got to check the compatibility. If you guys are not compatible, there's no point in trying to build with anybody. It's not going to work. You're going to waste your time.
It should be easy.
It should be easy.
It should not feel forced. And I think when I was single, I was trying to especially if he's fine. If he's fine, we're going to try to force it.
And then we pick out characteristics. Like for me, certain characteristics, I'm like, ooh, we got that in common. Oh, we could do that. We just
hold on to that one thing. Yeah,
we didn't have the basic fundamentals. In order. Yeah. So everything else, it was a bust. Yeah. Because we couldn't get that part together. We couldn't get the compatibility together.
I want to ask you about Jason, but really, I just want to ask you about you. What is compatibility for you? What do you feel like now at this point in your life? Because usually it changes. Like you get to a certain point in life, you start to know who you really are. What does Chanel need now that she's in her season? You can see it. You can see it on you. You're in a different. You've transitioned to a different place. So now, what does that partner look like? At least from what you believe.
From what I believe, well, first of all, he got to be a man.
Amen.
Okay, and when I need him to be a man's man,
right?
Like he got to be a man. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And then we got to have certain commonalities. We got to have some similar. We got to be able to have something to fall on when we're not getting along.
Yes.
So we have common goals and purposes, even when we can't get our relational piece together. We always got that to fall back on, because that's where our friendship is developed, because we have that in common. So that's important. Like I want him to be fine. He got to be fine, but he got to have some substance. He got to have some. He got to be ambitious.
Yeah.
You know, he can't be okay with being mediocre or average, because I ain't with the average. I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know, and then I don't want someone who has a problem with my success.
Right.
You know, I've been in situations where I've had men say, "Well, ever since you've been doing ministry, all you talk about is relationships." Well, that's what I do. That's who I am. That's who I was when you met me.
Right.
You know, and it's not going to change. So I need someone who is secure in who they are, and they have their own identity, and then we merge those things together, and then we build something even greater.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just a little bit. I mean, I can go on and on about the qualities and characteristics that I need him to have.
Yeah.
But not only that, he gotta what I want to say, because you know, in these days and times, because I'm different. I date differently than most. One of the things that I came to the realization this year, because I always wondered, why are my friends always dating? Like, they never have a single moment. And I said, why am I always single? And that is because I'm intentional about dating. Like, if I don't like you, I'm not dating you. We're not going out. We're not talking. We're not doing none of that. So I'm not into the multiple women. Oh, I'm dating you and I'm just trying. No, you're not trying to see with me. You're not test driving. We're not even gonna have a test drive conversation. You know, it's just like you can't do both.
How would you know that though? How would you know?
Through conversation. I ask questions.
So you do have a conversation initially. I'm like, you got to
initial conversation, like
right.
Like, that's one of the questions I asked on the first day.
What do you ask?
Are you single?
Okay.
And I asked that question several different kinds of ways. There ain't no just one question. And I learned you have to.
They know that you're doubling back. They know that you're doubling back.
You gotta double back, because I'm telling you, these situations that I run into, man, you run into some foolishness.
That's what my mom would say. That's some foolishness.
Some foolishness. You work too hard to build and get to a certain level to get connected or attached, because it's not a connection, it's an attachment when it's dysfunctional. To attach to the wrong person, to have them to destroy all. You know what I'm saying?
It definitely, being with the wrong person, especially in that intimacy space, it can throw you off. And when you're in a good place, I think you realize, oh no, I cannot sacrifice. My edges have grown back in. I have lost some weight. Like, I'm in a good place. I cannot have you coming in here and messing up my grinding. As Beyonce said, you stop interrupting my grinding. But I do want to ask you, do you think that you're open? Because I think for me, I can relate to you a lot, obviously, you know, being a woman and being a woman in business and being single. But I think what I did differently with my husband now, I did ask questions, but I did a lot of listening. And I also kind of, because I wasn't really pressed on it, I kind of gave him grace to figure out, you know, because I think men have to figure out, like, is she what I want? They don't know from just seeing us.
That's why I hang out in the friend space.
Yeah, okay.
Like, we can't do the dating, and I can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, you can't figure it out and we date at the same time.
What if you're in a friend space and he's dating multiple women?
Well, then I'm just a friend then at that point.
Right. So, do you click him off from being potential?
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay.
I do. Because my mind is gonna wander in that other space, and that's when I'm gonna start getting awkward with my energy when he doesn't call me back, because then I'm gonna say, oh, he with her. So I can't. You gotta know yourself.
You gotta know thyself, right?
You gotta know yourself, and because when I like you, I really like you.
Yeah.
So you
have to watch yourself before you get to that point,
right?
That makes sense. Everybody has to know. You gotta know. That's what I told my daughter, and I tell any other woman, younger woman I'm talking to, like, you got to know what you can handle. For me, I can't date multiple people. I just don't have the attention span. I'm too busy, and I'm like, okay, and I also, like, if I like one, I like one. So then I'm sitting on a date with somebody else, really wishing I was with the one I like. So that doesn't work for me.
That's why people say, Chanel, you got to get out. You got to date. But it is nothing more frustrating than to be out on a date with someone that you don't like.
That's true.
Oh, my God. When I tell you, the energy is so messed up.
I feel bad because I don't want to I remember before years and years ago, This guy was a nice guy. He really liked me a lot. And it was an idiot that I could not get over, right? I just couldn't get over him. I was trying. I just couldn't. It's just something. He had my number. He was my cup of tea. And I was on a date with the other one, and he was pulling out all the stops. We were at the river on a boat, and I was sitting there wishing I was with the fool.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't do this anymore until I got to get over that. I have to wean myself off of the fool. But there's more coming. Before we get out of here, I want you to let people know, because I want everyone to be able to watch this conversation when it airs on Fox. So let people know where they can tune in so that they can be a part of seeing what we saw this past weekend.
Right. I don't have an air date yet just because of editing, but it will be aired this month. I do know that much.
Okay.
Probably in the next 2 weeks or so, they'll be seeing it. My night is Monday nights at 9, but I will get you a date as soon as the editing is completed.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure that we let people know.
On Fox Soul.
On Fox Soul. Thank you so much, Chanel Scott from Comministry Live. And stay tuned. You guys follow the Instagram at Comministry Live to find out when the next event is coming, when the next conversation is coming.
I have that.
What's the next conversation?
The next event is, the next conversation is commitment, because we transitioning into a new season.
We're moving towards it.
Yeah, and it's August 6th.
August 6th.
Yes.
All right. August 6th, Comministry Live. Thank you so much, Chanel. You guys, I will see you right back here from Christal with Love XO next Tuesday. Spend your lunch hanging out. We're talking about relationships. We have a great guest coming for you guys next week, so tune in. I'll see you then.
Wicked tones, you know.